I see more bickering and arguing within the community on different threads and pages, you know, of what we talked about earlier of, man, you should have let him go another year,
Yeah.
or why'd you keep that fish? You should have let it go.
Sure.
Why don't you have matching camo? Why don't you use this trail cam? Why do you
Right.
have a crossbow and not a traditional bow? Why do you
Right.
have a compound bow and not a traditional bow?
Correct.
You know what? We said it. If it's legal, ethical, and moral, then let's work together because
It kind of goes back to our old, like, it's your tag,
it's your tag.
it's your license.
Do what you want to do.
You know, if you are doing something within the legal limits of the law, by all means, do it and enjoy it. Guys, it's the Cast and Blast podcast with Pinche Ben and Jimmy, aka PB and J.
PB and J.
So a friend of ours sent us a text, man, and he's like, "What's up, PB and J?" Jimmy and I looked at each other like, "What's he talking about?" Pinche Ben and Jimmy. I was like, "Oh, that's brilliant, man. We got to run with it." So, uh, welcome to the Cast and Blast podcast. Like I said, I'm your host. This is my co-host Jimmy. Uh, Today's episode is going to be the impact of social media on fishing and hunting. Um, we're going to start off by thanking our sponsors, man. 5x5 Brewing Company out of Mission, Texas. Once again, man, they send us some outstanding brew. We're going to crack open a cold one, dive right in. So thank you, 5x5. I got Fubar, which
I'm
is
going
one
with
of
the
my
bombshell again. I had that last time.
yeah,
and
this is one of my
loved
new
it.
favorites, man. So let's get started, bro. Cheers.
Cheers.
All right, let's get a little sippy sip. Mm-mm-mm.
Delicious.
Yeah, man. So, like I said, we alluded from our last podcast and said we were going to do the impact of social media and what it's doing to fishing and hunting. There's some positive, there's some negative, and we're just going to dive into a few topics of discussion. Jimmy has a couple of notes, man, that we think are kind of important to us as far as what we're going to talk about. But again, these are just our opinions. These are just our thoughts. We welcome you guys to bring in some comments and share with us what you guys think. And Jimmy, we've talked about the impact of social media and what it's done to fishing and hunting, both positive and negative. We're not by any means, man, I'm guilty of using social media and scrolling through pictures and videos and following people on YouTube and whatever. And I use it as a learning tool, as a entertainment, as a just passing time. And I think we all do, right? I mean,
Yeah, so I agree. The majority of us do. We're all kind of guilty of it, but I think it's a matter of self awareness of catching ourselves doing it, and like you said, that I wrote down a few topics, and some of these topics there's many more topics out there. There's going to be, everybody's got their own opinions,
sure,
and
yeah,
this is just some of ours. And so I wrote these down. Well, I thought of a lot of these just sitting out in the woods, doing some scouting, watching deer and things like that, and
right.
just thinking about this. So I thought of so many more, but I couldn't remember them, when I had pen and paper in hand. So I did write down a few that I can remember. So yeah, we'll just kind of go over, hit some of those topics that we thought of. And
Yeah, I mean, we had a good time this weekend getting out there. So again, how social media impacts fishing and hunting. We actually were out on a hunting event this weekend, guiding one of our close friends, Delvis Cortez,
amazing trip.
from High Heat Outdoors. Man, we got him on his first doe this weekend. It was an MLDP tag that he cut his first tag with, and we were honored to be there with him on that experience. Um, and how we were able to share his first, I mean, that was just epic, bro. I mean, from one, the how you guided us out, that was my first time uh spot and stalk. That was, we covered a lot of ground. We saw a ton of different terrain. We saw a lot of activity. We saw a lot of wildlife and some beautiful landscapes. For me, that was where we put the phones down. That was where we put, there was no cameras. We just got out there and enjoyed it. And that was a moment that I am going to remember forever. I know Delvis is going to remember it forever. Tell us a little bit about that, man.
Yeah, so that is one of the, I wish we had more content to share about that, because but it was one of those things we got, lost
The
in the
moment.
event and the moment,
Yeah.
which was awesome, and I don't regret anything about
Nah,
it.
you got to be
But
present,
you
man.
got to be
And he
present, and
he agreed. That was he kind of he was. I wanted to be present, and we consciously made an effort to basically, not pull the phones out and do a lot of content. Although, we took some pictures, of
right,
course,
yep,
because it was his first time, and we wanted to share that with his family and his loved ones and the people that he cared about, and that was super special for us.
yeah, it was. I mean, the look on his face, as we come up and we're working through those woods nice and slow. Luckily, we had some good rain, so we were able to move, very quietly.
Yeah,
So then we come up in that big open field, and we seen, the target animals standing out there.
yeah,
So we were able to creep in and, get a good, nice, ethical distance shot
sure, sure.
on
Something
the
in his
doe.
comfort zone
Yep.
too. That was super important.
And that was something earlier that morning. He did the right thing. So there was a doe that was out of his comfort zone,
That's right.
and he said, "I don't feel comfortable doing that." And I said, "You're doing the right thing. We'll move on, and we'll."
Kudos to him for
Yep.
for, for
That's
saying that, sharing that, admitting that, and there's no shame in that at all. As a matter of fact, I got mad respect for that because
mad respect. That
he was
is
actually honest and staying within his ethical comfort zone,
Yep.
so to speak.
Exactly.
So hey, we got it done. It was the Cast&Blast Outfitters
And had
first.
an amazing time.
Yeah, and it was our first time guiding someone together, and we had an amazing time. We were able to get it done. We were able to keep some memories that we're
Yeah.
all gonna be able to share forever. That was awesome.
Had some good teamwork in there.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
really hard to move about like that when it's three of you. But I think we learned a lot together in that time. The weather worked in our favor. We weren't expecting any
Ish.
rain. Well, it did it and
Ish.
did not. It was a challenge. So it started off no wind at all. I mean, and then we got rain that we weren't really expecting that much.
Right.
We thought we were going to get a little cover in the morning, kind of help us kind of wet down some of the foliage and stuff, and that was cool. And it kind of that worked in our favor. I would say so. But gosh, there were some slippery spots.
It just makes it that much more memorable.
Yeah,
That
I'm
much more
just
fun.
glad that I didn't go forks up and slip out
Yeah.
of and you guys have a laugh. But man, that's just one of those things, man. I just wanted to touch on that real quick before we dove in. But man, let's talk about maybe one of the most important topics that we had and we shared and said I really really want to talk about this, and that is just what you were
Yeah.
saying.
One of mine. I think something we agreed on is that as we go through, we get lost in so many other aspects of it that we're losing the culture and traditions of being in the outdoors, and the meaning behind it. Maybe making it a family event.
Yeah,
Sometimes we need to keep in mind in the forefront of why we're actually out there and what we're doing. Whether it's out there as a for some it's a therapy type moment, for some it's putting meat on the table, and some maybe it is the reason they're out there is to promote a product or a brand or something.
sure. And there's the aspect of, man, I can think back like days when we would just I think back to my childhood, and you'd walk up on the jetties or something. There's some guy out there fishing. He's got a little bucket with him. You'd walk up to him and be like, "Any luck today?" And he turned back. It's been a little slow. And you look in his bucket and he had a couple of fish in there, and you'd be like, "Cool, man. Well, good luck." And it was just like, "Thanks." And you'd walk on and you do your thing, and he did his thing. No judgment, absolutely. And if you were lucky, he might have told you, yeah, they're hitting on live bait today, or they're hitting on cut bait, or
Yeah,
this and
give
that.
you a little
Give you a little nugget, right?
input in there. Yeah, try
Well,
this.
that's to me, those are some of the traditions. They're still going.
It's still out
It's
there.
still out
Like,
there. But
yeah.
what you never did in person was that's all you got.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I can do better.
Yeah,
Watch me.
exactly.
Come with me. I'll show you how.
Or this is my spot, right? Or those were the conversations you never had in person. I just feel like it was a courtesy or a common courtesy that we had face to face, and social media has kind of changed that, I would say.
Yeah, it gives people a little more courage
All of a
behind,
sudden,
they get behind the
everybody's
screen and that keyboard and they turn into a warrior. The bravery.
yeah, because your first natural comment with someone in person was like, "Hey, good job, congratulations, good luck." I don't really feel like it's like that too much more, or too much in today's.
Not as much as it's still there, right?
Yes,
It's still there.
yes,
I don't want to say it's not there, but it's
yeah.
not as prevalent as it used to be.
Well,
And
it's a lot easier for people to go a different direction.
yeah, yeah.
It's because you're hiding behind a phone or a keyboard.
But the cool thing is that everybody is entitled to their opinions, right? So everybody
Absolutely.
they can have them. It's about the negativity and the don't make it bad.
Right.
The deal is we were looking. I think it's less than 5% of the U.S. population hunts, and just over 17% of the U.S. population fishes.
That's a super
So
small percentage
that's a
of
small percentage.
people in general who are out there getting. I wonder what the percentage is that actually registered as like license holders and all that stuff. I bet that's. I bet you those numbers are pretty close.
So that's what that number's based off of
That's cool.
is license. So the number's probably higher of the folks that say I'm gonna go ahead and go on a hunt, and not get a license or a fish, which
Hey, good
is
luck.
what it is.
Good
Yeah.
luck. And you know what? Honestly, man, I grew up. We've mentioned this before. I grew up poor, man, and we used to fish and hunt out of necessity to feed the family. And we had our ups and downs, so it wasn't always like that,
Right.
but there was
Yep.
times where like fishing was to put food on the table,
Yeah.
hunting was to fill the freezer, um, and to have food, and be able to stretch that out. You know what I mean? Well, there's people today that are still living like that, and hey, you know what? We all want to make you all want to make your effort to be within your legal right to fish and hunt and all that stuff. But the reality is if somebody doesn't have the money to put food on their table a different way, they probably don't have the money to go out and get a fishing license and get a hunting license and do all that. Because I've been there, man, and I've been without. And sometimes you just need to go out there, and if it's the way you're doing it, then I'm not promoting that by no means, but I'm also not bashing it. Does that make sense?
No, it does make perfect sense.
Okay.
It's
I don't want to
mean,
come across as like,
there's
oh, you're fishing without a license, you're less than.
yeah,
That's
not
not what I'm
promoting
saying.
that, not
Exactly.
promoting that, but there's a common sense aspect that comes into play, but
And we
maybe
can go
that's
go deeper into that, but it's
we're not a game warden. We're
exactly.
not, that's not for me to say. That's for the law, and I'm not the law.
There you go. So
Um,
again, that kind of goes back to like, hey, I'm going to congratulate you before I'm going to,
bash you.
bash you. And
Yeah.
I don't want to come across as that. I just have, I guess, empathy towards those that are doing that, and I get it. You know what I mean? So, but
But that's where it goes. How you were talking about, like maybe you don't have, the money on hand to get a license for whatever reason.
right.
Well, you probably don't have the best gear. You probably don't have the matching camo. You probably don't have this. You
Yeah.
probably don't have that.
Yeah.
But what you do have is a love for probably what you're doing, being in the outdoors, and being able to provide. So whether it's fishing or hunting, and bringing that meat to the table,
Yeah,
bringing
it's
the
got to
bacon
feel
home,
good
right?
being a provider.
Right. So
You know what I mean?
so you'll see those posts on social media sometimes where people, they do that, and they have the mix match camo, and they have,
They're not wearing, top to bottom, Sitka, or
Right.
we can go through a whole list of stuff. But you know what you have is effective, and it's getting you out there. And man, we know guys who can go out there in a red flannel shirt and
That's the
faded.
crazy thing. If you look at a lot of very, very, very successful big game hunters,
Yeah.
they don't have to, a lot of them use it. They don't have to, right?
Yeah.
So there's so much more to experience than gear, is what I'm saying. Just because
Good
something
point.
costs so much money doesn't mean it's not going to put you on the animal, or it's not going to catch the fish for you.
No.
The put your money in your experience. Don't put it in the gear.
Ooh, that's a good point. That's a good point. And use social media, use your YouTube search, your Google, and all that stuff. Use that in a positive way to gain your knowledge off of facts, right?
Right.
Or what I'm trying to get at is learn animal activity, learn aquatic wildlife, learn seasons, learn moon phases, learn all those things, research those before you're just following somebody who has a platform to share their experience in the sense of like, hey, this is what works for me. You have to become your own angler, you have to become your own hunter. You can follow somebody and you might be successful
Yeah,
and do
just because that person has 2 million followers, that doesn't make them an expert in what they do.
right.
It doesn't.
Or someone who has 100 followers any less successful than someone who has that many, and you just hit the nail on the head. um, but we all can learn from each other, and Jimmy and I are both military background, and we used to take what we would like in a certain leadership maybe, and you'd be
Yeah.
like, it's kind of like how I like, and you would take some bad qualities and be, that's exactly what I don't want to be like. We urge you to do the same thing when you're making these searches and social media and all that stuff, and take your best from what you can, and let it work in your favor. And I can tell you right now, what works for me probably won't work for you, and what works for you might not work for me. And we talk about that a lot when we're out there.
Yeah, well, that was something we experienced this weekend.
That's
Is
right.
as me, you, and Delvis kind of went on our little hunting excursion.
Sure.
You both told me, you're like, wow, I've never hunted that way.
Right.
And it may be something that wouldn't work for you, but it's just what I have experienced myself in, so it
Sure.
works for me.
Yeah, and you
So
proved that,
yeah,
and now I'm hooked.
it's fun,
Yeah, so
right?
that for me was the funnest uh, hunt I have been on, and now that's exactly how I want to do it. And no bashing on any other of my type of hunting. I just enjoyed that much more. So gonna learn a little bit more about that and try to get after it a little bit better. And I've told you that I'm trying to work on, those bigger hunting trips, where I can actually, um, you know, pack up and head out and be with somebody I can trust and go out on a long, couple of nights out on something that I'm not familiar with,
Yeah,
and work my way towards learning what I'm seeing, observing, and trying to find that wildlife by what I can learn from. So that was
we got
really
turkey season coming up soon, so
I'm
we'll
excited
ease our
about
ways
that.
into some of that stuff.
Cool,
Yeah,
man.
and that's
What other things can we talk about? Let's talk about. I want to talk about something positive that social media has done. Uh,
how
and
about the communication aspect, how it can link so many, so many of us together, and
yeah,
we can share some of the wins and the fails and laugh about them together.
yeah, and I think that's really brought the community um, closer. Like you said, it's a small portion of society in general, and a lot of that has to do with maybe not having awareness of certain conservation programs and all that stuff, and maybe knowing like, well, why are we hunting this particular animal?
That's a great point. Yeah,
Yeah,
to promote the conservation aspect of it, and how we have to. I mean, um, there's reasons for the conservation. If
right.
if you don't have a hunting program, if you don't have people hunting, I don't think people, general public, a lot of people don't understand the
The
what
brutal consequence behind not being part of the conservation program.
exactly. I
Yeah,
mean, they think, oh, you just went and shot Bambi.
right.
You're like, well, yes, you're correct, I did.
Yes.
But there's the reason behind it. Not only is it good, clean meat, but what happens when certain species become overpopulated? What does nature do to bring that population density back down? It's not pretty for that animal.
Probably a lot more harsh
It's a
than
lot worse.
a swift and ethical shot.
Right.
Placed well in the vitals so that
Yep.
that animal doesn't suffer. There's a lot more to it than just going out and slinging lead.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
You got to, and that's something that social media can help promote, and that's a great positive.
and it
And there's some
has,
folks out there that really promote that in a very, very clear and concise positive way too, and so that's great to
and
see
it's
that.
helping the community grow. It's helping get more registered hunters year after year. The numbers are growing. Just in Texas, I mean, I look across the different states, and it's growing, and that says a lot. Population, uh, yes, relatively may be growing as well. However, the community is finding more, or the society in general, we're finding more hunters, more people that are getting into, um, you know, enjoying the outdoor lifestyle, and that's fishing and hunting, and those numbers are very easily quantifiable by looking at, the registered hunters and fishing license across the nation, and that goes with, younger generation of hunting, women, coming
Yeah,
into
that's
this.
what's
It's really interesting. They're the fastest growing market, in hunting and fishing, is young women, or I'm sorry, younger children and women, and
yeah.
that's
Women have really grown. So it was always a male dominant
correct.
sport, we'll say. But if you look at a lot of the content creators and influencers now, a large, I don't know the exact percentage, but a large percent of them are women. So I think it encourages other women to say, you know what, I can get out there and do that. She's doing it, I can do it. So
Right.
I think that's really cool.
And there's nothing wrong with getting out there, looking cute with your lipstick and your nails done and all that stuff. And people shouldn't think, oh, just because you're hunting that you got to be, less than feminine or anything like that. My wife will be
No,
wearing,
that's fine.
yeah, my
That's
wife will be in the blind with you, earrings and her nails done and maybe some lipstick and
Yeah. Now, there, in my opinion, there is a con. There is a downside to some of that, and there's a lot of companies that use women,
to
as a
exploit them
marketing,
maybe.
yeah, kind of as a marketing tool. And I'm like, I'm not cool with that. But I don't. If it's working for them, it's working for them. Just saying that, personally, I would never do that.
Yeah, I have vowed to never do that with our business, and there's too many women that are actually getting after it. Man, I know I can count on two hands, which is all the hands I can count on.
You,
I
you
really
got an
can't.
extra one
Yeah,
somewhere?
I can't go any bigger than this. I guarantee you that. But that outfish me and out hunt me any
Yeah.
day, and they're out there, man. So I would rather get them to sit here on the podcast with us. I'd rather get them in pictures of in our apparel, using practical equipment that is useful for them, because as comfortable as you may be fishing in a bikini, not everybody feels that way. Not every woman wants to be fishing in a bikini, and I've been told by having a company where we're selling apparel, women come to me and they're like, I want to wear the stuff you guys are wearing too, but if I buy the girl stuff, it's not as practical. I don't have all the flashy gears and the clips and all that stuff that you guys get in the male apparel, and I'm just like, good point, So it kind of geared me into trying to make some things both for men and women, and other companies are doing it too, and kudos for them. But for those that are just kind of like,
But why do the other companies do it? Why do companies use like super attractive women to
well,
do
the
it?
most guy or the biggest population of following his fishing and hunting is men.
They do it because it works.
Okay,
Hey, we're
yeah,
all guilty of it, right?
yeah,
We'll
yeah. I
we'll see
mean,
where we okay. I'm gonna go check this out because
what if
it's
you
eye
look at the
catching and
social media posts and they have the girl in the bikini with a Dorado that's hanging off,
yeah.
it's that's got the most likes, but that one,
We could take that same picture.
thank you.
We can take that same picture of either or of us and post it. We're not gonna get that.
No,
We're not gonna
no.
get
Of
that.
course, I know I'm nowhere near as attractive and all that stuff, and I don't have the photogenic, curves and all that
Hey,
stuff.
you and me both, brother.
So
You and
I
me
know that
both.
I'm not going to do it, but I mean, fishing and hunting is those pictures and our harvest photos and all those stuff. It's about the harvest, right?
Yeah.
We lose sight of that, and you're clicking likes on a bikini,
So
and most of those comments are about that, and they're not even about fishing anymore. It's just about you know commenting on the woman in the photo, and
have,
that's kind of like it's a pro and a con.
it is, yeah. I mean, it's
Yeah,
everybody will have their own opinions on that, but I
sure,
think
sure.
yeah. How many times have you been scrolling through a social media platform and you see somebody that is not part of that less than 5% of hunters, but they're commenting on a picture or they took a picture of somebody that's driving down the road with a nice big large buck that's hanging out of the tailgate of the
Yeah.
truck when it could be under it, but
Yeah.
there's just blood dripping down. But they want to show it off because they're proud of it as a hunter.
Yeah,
So
and maybe that community of hunters would be like, oh hell yeah,
yeah,
you
like
know.
thumbs up,
But
man.
those that are not, and they're not educated, and they're not aware of maybe the conservation aspect of hunting, large mature bucks in a certain area and all that stuff. They're completely oblivious to that, so it's already in a bad light for them. So it's not a good look.
It's
So
not a good look, but
we
it's not
got
illegal.
it's
so
not illegal,
right? So,
but I
but
think as the hunting community, we really can do a better job of maybe covering that up
exactly.
and traveling with that in a sense to where we have a little bit we can give a better example to those that don't understand it that well, because I mean we already have a challenge to explain that, and it's kind of like how can I say, it's like I wear Nike, you're against wearing name brand shoes, right? Is an example. Oh, I don't support big brands or anything like that. Well, the more Nikes I have, the more you're gonna be like, oh, all you're doing is supporting a big brand shoe. Well, if you if I don't understand why you don't wear name brand shoes, I'll always think like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we will never see eye to eye. But if you give me a little understanding and give you an understanding, and then you're like, yeah, there's really no point in me wearing those shoes anymore. I can try any shoe and this and that, and you'd be like, now we have a little bit of a even playing field. And I use that as an example because I didn't want to go into anything else, but I was losing a reference point. But I think you get what I'm saying.
Some shared understanding.
Shared understanding gets you on a much more level playing field to where we may be able to sway some non-hunters to think that it's less how can I say, it's got this stigma that, oh, you're only hunting because of this or you're only hunting because of that. It's like, actually learn a little bit about why, there's seasons. Why are there seasons? Why is it regulated? Why is there, numbers and limits? There's a reason behind all that.
For it. Yeah, it's not just somebody writes it down. There's science, there's reasons.
Correct.
And that's what the laws are made about. So if it's legal and it's moral and it's ethical, just we can do it.
And
It's
you
fine.
should be able to do it, and you should
It's
be able to
fine.
travel down the highway with your racks protruding out the back of your butt.
Sometimes it gives a bad look, though. That's all we're
that's
saying.
the point is like, maybe we can do a better job of swaying some of those people to think otherwise if we weren't really dragging that.
That's probably not the best way to do it. Is letting that deer hang out.
Right,
and do that,
right.
So yeah.
So again, that's something that you see. It's kind of an example of like social media where we're posting pictures, we're posting a harvest post, or we're posting a video or something like that. We probably can do a better job of sharing things where it's educational, it's providing awareness, and it doesn't give us the bad light. How many times have you seen the videos of people sharing like, oh, we slaughtered this many or this and that, and it's like they probably were doing a good thing for that farm owner.
Yeah, words mean things. It's about how you say it, though.
There you go.
Yeah, words mean things. So just kind of, say it in the right way, maybe.
And you lose already a section, or you lose a portion of communication through text in the format of a message, or
Lose that context.
you lose that context. And things already, that transfer of emotion through communication in person is not there in a text or a post. So people can already take it the wrong way, and it's different. You know what I mean? We have to kind of understand that now. And maybe that's easy for us to get into a misunderstanding on a thread, or and it evokes so much emotion in the different people that are commenting on it, and we might maybe want to take that into a private message with someone and be like, what did you mean by this? And if they say, oh, well, this is what I was talking about. Oh, okay, cool. I took it the wrong way. Saves a lot of.
Here's the sad thing. I see more bickering and arguing within the community on different threads and pages, of what we talked about earlier of, man, you should have let him go another year, or
Yeah.
why'd you keep that fish? You should have let it go.
Sure.
Why don't you have matching camo? Why don't you use this trail cam? Why do you
Right.
have a crossbow and not a traditional bow? Why do
Right.
you have a compound bow and not a traditional bow?
Correct.
You know what? We said it. If it's legal, ethical, and moral, then let's work together, because
It kind of goes back to our old, like, it's your tag,
It's your tag.
it's your license.
Do what you want to do.
You know, if you are doing something within the legal limits of the law, by all means, do it and enjoy it.
How
And
many
who am I?
arguments and bickering have you scrolled through to what?
Ton.
Like, I do it almost on a daily basis. I actually had to leave recently. I left a group,
Sure,
a hunting
I've done
group
it
that I
several
was
times. Yeah,
in. Just recently, I just couldn't take it anymore. The negativity and the bashing of each other, and actually the admin of this particular page, how a leader of the group, was just toxic. I mean,
yeah.
100% toxic.
They're
And
kind
I'm,
of fueling that fire in
Fuel-
a sense, you know.
yeah, we have enough drama in the world going on. We don't
Thank
need to
you.
create more for our small community that we're talking about. There's plenty of drama out there. Don't make more.
You know, I wonder how impactful it could be if we genuinely made genuinely made a decision to save the comment, right, and just share positivity. Like, just try to do it. Like, uh, you know, for those that it's hard for, it's not hard
Yeah,
for me.
it's
But for those that it's hard for, some of those that, you know, they gotta have their comment, you know, just like, hey, before I send,
that'd
you
be
know,
harder than trying to give a kid medicine. They'd be like,
I
you
don't
have to hold them down, and
But I mean, why is it so hard to just give somebody a hey, congratulations, man? I mean, it seems like it's for some it's a lot harder than for others.
well, if it was face to face, it may be easier for them.
Okay.
But when they get behind that keyboard, they get a little more brave.
Yeah.
They get that audacity.
Right.
Like, ooh,
Yeah. So,
like,
well, man, I mean, again, we can go back and forth, but let's sum up 3 positives and 3 negatives, maybe, and wrap it up. And you know, we'll leave it for the comments, and we'll leave it for you guys to let us know what you think. And again, this is just a topic of discussion, but I thought it was a kind of a cool topic of discussion because it is changing in a sense.
it is. And there's so many, like, we barely scratched the surface. So,
Oh, yeah.
and I understand a lot of people are going to say, well, what about this? And then, good. Throw it in the comments.
Right.
Let us know, because there's so many. We only have so much time. But
Yeah, we want to keep it
it'll
short
good to
and
hear.
keep it
It'll good to hear.
entertaining. But I mean, I think we can keep going for a long time. But we just wanted to make a quick topic of discussion. Again, the topic of this podcast is the impact of the impact social media is having on hunting
Yeah.
and fishing. I'll start off with a positive. I think that it is actually raising a popularity. I think it's actually becoming more trending. It's actually becoming more of a searchable topic.
Yeah.
It's actually becoming a bigger community. You know what I mean? And it's growing the awareness to people who really weren't into it. Are kind of like, man, I see a lot of pictures of fishing and hunting on Facebook now, where I never really saw that, or on other social medias, and now it's becoming more popular, and it's allowing some small businesses to actually thrive. You know what I mean? And that's super important. You know what I mean? So I think it's growing a community. I think it's actually helping people that maybe weren't really exposed to it as much, and now they have an avenue where they can tap into and maybe ask a question or something. So I think in that sense, it's doing some good things.
Yeah, another pro. I'm just going to kind of piggyback off what you were saying, because it's
Okay.
what I was going to say. And it may be a pro that came out of the pandemic, the whole COVID thing.
Right.
It kind of became a family event. Like,
Yeah.
it kind of brought families back together, because you couldn't do a whole lot.
There ain't
So
no
a lot
better
of-
social distancing than
Nothing
getting out
better,
on the
right?
water by yourself
So a
or
lot
out
of-
in the woods.
a lot of folks were like, hey, let's give fishing a chance. Let's
Yeah.
try that. So I think that really helped. And then you started seeing,
I know I saw a lot more people on the water during COVID.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. I think that it really helped, and I started seeing a lot more fishing posts and a lot more, traction on fishing during that time. And I was
yeah.
like, I thought of, it's a horrible event, the pandemic,
Oh, of course, yeah.
but that was something good that I personally seen that came out of it, is, people taking a family event to go fishing, try it out.
So one more, and I'll wrap it up with this, because I am a small business owner in the fishing and hunting thing, and now us doing this together, it's definitely gonna be fun plugging into that community through social media.
We have to, right?
Yeah,
There's
and really, it's almost hard not to. You know,
you
even if
can't,
you have a
right?
brick and mortar and people are, you got the heaviest foot traffic, you got to promote. You got to use your resources to get the business out there and awareness. And social media allows us to do that instantaneously over a large market. And because of that, I'm grateful. I'm thankful for the impact that social media can have on fishing and hunting that impacts,
Absolutely.
business, small businesses.
Agreed.
So
Just have a good foundation,
yeah,
values, and stick with it.
yeah.
Don't
Don't
let something
compromise.
don't compromise. Don't let things get in the way of whatever that foundation is.
Yeah, and you and I talked about, what was most important to us as we get this journey going was that we got to enjoy the journey.
Yeah.
If we aren't having fun, we didn't want to be in business, and we're having a lot of fun, and our families are enjoying it. Our families are enjoying our conversations when we talk about that passion that we have, and people can see that smile on our face when we share our love for it. And I think that's super important. If you're doing something you love,
And it's all on social media.
yeah,
I mean, we're doing on so we're saying bad thing, not bad. We're
pointing
showing
pointing
pointing
out
out some
negative
things.
impacts, but we're
Right.
also pointing out the positives.
Right. So without it's hard to do anything.
Yeah, so I guess on the flip side of all that, we have a few negatives that we can sum up. But I think for me, it's just if we can rid, or we can, lower the negativity on social media, and that should be in general. I mean, like he said, we got enough negative or
Drama. There's so
drama
much drama everywhere already.
that's in the
Don't create
schools
more.
and everything. There's so much. You can pick. You could throw a rock in that rock will hit some drama,
Yeah, it
right?
will.
Why don't we share positivity? Why don't we share?
And promote what it does for you, um, holistically almost, is
Yeah,
getting out on the water, getting out in the woods,
yeah,
and how that makes you, just that time out, what it can really do for you,
good.
both emotionally, spiritually, holistically. Like it for me, it makes me feel like a new person when I'm out, and then I come home and I'm like, oh man, I feel
Well,
so much better.
and not only that, it's exercise, man. I was talking to you about, a couple years ago, I was 100 pounds heavier. There would have been no way I could have got out there and do all that.
We put some miles on the
And
other
we
day.
put those miles on. And honestly, you remember I was going out there with a knee, nursing a knee, and you were kind of worried. But
You went out there nursing a knee, and I came back nursing a knee.
that's
Now,
right.
yeah,
But afterwards, I actually felt like I woke up the next day. I thought I was gonna be like this thing. I thought it was gonna be flared up. My knee actually that did it some good.
good.
I don't know if I maybe worked out some tension I
Motion
had.
is lotion.
There
That's
you
what
go.
it
But I
was.
tell you what, I felt so much better the next day. That just I felt accomplished. You know what I mean? It was something different for me, and it was challenging in a sense of like navigating some of that terrain was not necessarily just a walk through the park.
Right. Never is.
Right? So I really do feel like there's so much positive you can get from getting out there and enjoying the outdoors. So that ties into that. So I just feel like if we could sum it up, we can say, if we're going to impact how social media is impacting fishing and hunting community, let's make a positive impact and grow the community even bigger.
Yep.
Let's grow awareness to conservation programs, to seasons, to the ethics behind a certain kind of hunting, a certain kind of fishing. There's species that are within season, within limits for a reason. Let's share that. Let's talk a little bit more about that. And maybe we can use those as topics of discussions on the
And
podcast.
if you have children, teach them the same. Carry it on, keep it going.
Yeah, so that we can carry on these customs and traditions so that we can enjoy these, you know, landscapes for generations on end. So man, that was a pretty good topic of discussion today.
Yeah,
Man. I enjoyed it.
I know there's a million other things that we could have added in on it, and we hope to hear what your comments are about what you think those impacts could be. So throw those in the comments and let us know. Let's hear it.
Yeah, so man, if you liked some of the content you heard today, make sure you're subscribing to our channel. And with that said, we've been getting a lot of messages about like, hey, how do I subscribe
Yeah.
and this and that. So a little bit of we're learning, right? This is something new to us as we're getting this going and launched, and to some of us, it may seem as easy as just hitting a button, but to follow us on YouTube, you actually have to have a YouTube account, which is tied to Google, right? So you have to have a Google account or a Google Gmail. You have to have a Gmail.
I'm not sure if you have to have a Gmail, but I know you have to set up a YouTube account prior to subscribing.
Okay, so there you go. So you have to have a YouTube account. Then you can subscribe and like people's channels and this and that. So if you like this content and you want to subscribe to our channel, you have to have a YouTube account, and then you can subscribe to our channel, and we invite you to do so if you like the content today. And we'll be bringing you new content. As you can see, we're trying to bring it out weekly now, and we're going to continue to stick to that programming schedule, so you guys can count on us like clockwork that we're going to be bringing you weekly content. I hope you enjoy how Pinche Ben and Jimmy can just chop it up here on the couch.
You mean PB&J?
PB&J,
That's
man.
what you meant.
There you go. I still enjoy hearing that, man. It just, hey, we go together like PB&J.
PB&J.
So, man, hey, thank you for joining us on the Cast and Blast podcast. We're going to be bringing you new content weekly, so we hope to earn you as a subscriber. So if you enjoyed what you like today, man, make sure you hit that subscribe button and make sure you hit that bell so you can be notified when we bring you new content. Hey amigos, if you enjoyed this episode, we invite you to subscribe so you can be notified when we post new content.
And if you feel like leaving a comment, please do so for this podcast and share with your friends.
Thanks for listening, and I hope you had as much fun as we did.
Now get out there and enjoy the Cast and Blast lifestyle.